I let my brother and his wife move into my home after they lost theirs. Instead of being grateful, they demanded I take my son out of his room, or even give them my own bedroom. That was the moment I told them they could find somewhere else to live. Hello Reddit, I plus here. I'm a 31-year-old single mom, and my little boy is almost 2. After my divorce 3 years ago, I bought a modest 3-bedroom townhouse. It isn't huge, but it's ours. My son has his own room, I have the master bedroom, and the third room is a small guest room that mostly sits empty unless family visits. About 6 weeks ago, my older brother Nolan, 36, called me sounding completely defeated. His wife Brianna, 34, had been laid off months earlier. They'd burned through their savings trying to stay afloat, fell behind on rent, and eventually got evicted. He asked if they could stay with me for just a month while they got back on their feet. Despite our rocky relationship growing up, I couldn't bring myself to say no. I told him there were only 3 rules. First, the stay was temporary. Second, they had to contribute to groceries once they found work. Third, they couldn't bring their furniture because there simply wasn't room. The guest room already had a queen bed, a dresser, and a small desk. Everything else needed to go into a storage unit. He hesitated but agreed. I honestly thought we were on the same page. I was wrong. The complaints started before they'd even unpacked. This room feels like a prison cell. How do you expect 2 adults to live in here? You couldn't have bought a bigger house? I kept reminding myself they were stressed. Losing your home has to be terrifying. I ignored it. Then things got weird. One afternoon, my son was taking his nap when he woke up crying after having a bad dream. As I carried him into the kitchen to calm him down, Nolan wandered into the hallway and peeked into my son's room. His face changed. "Wait," he said. "This room is bigger than ours." I shrugged. "Yeah, by a little." He looked at me like I'd insulted him. "So why does a toddler get the bigger room?" I laughed because I honestly thought he was joking. He wasn't. "You should switch the rooms." I blinked. "What?" "Move his stuff into the guest room." "No, he won't know the difference." "I will." "You've got to be kidding me." "My son's room stays exactly where it is." He rolled his eyes. "He's barely 2. And he doesn't need all that space." I told him the room had already been set up for years. His clothes, toys, bookshelves, changing table, blackout curtains, baby monitor, everything was there. I wasn't turning my house upside down because 2 grown adults didn't like a free room. He stormed away. From that day forward, both of them acted like I was their enemy. They slammed cabinets, ignored me whenever I spoke, made sarcastic comments just loud enough for me to hear. Some people really don't appreciate family. I guess being comfortable matters more than helping others. Brianna even started making passive-aggressive remarks whenever my son laughed too loudly. One night, he woke up crying because he was teething. It lasted maybe 15 minutes. The next morning, she walked into the kitchen looking exhausted. "We didn't sleep." "I'm sorry," I said. "He's teething. He'll grow out of it." She stared at me. "Maybe you should sleep in his room." I actually laughed. She didn't. Over the next week, they became more demanding. They started eating food I'd specifically bought for my son. They left dirty dishes everywhere. They'd watch television until 2 in the morning at full volume, then complain my child woke them up. The hypocrisy was unbelievable. Last Saturday, I came home from grocery shopping and found Brianna inside my bedroom. Not cleaning, not asking permission. She was measuring it with a tape measure. I asked what she was doing. She smiled. "We're seeing where our bed would fit." I thought I'd misheard. "Our bed?" "When you switch rooms." I laughed. Again she wasn't joking. That evening, Nolan sat me down like he was conducting a business meeting. "We've talked about it. I already hated where this was going. We think the best solution is for you to take the guest room." I stared at him. He continued. "You and the kid can sleep in there. Brianna and I will take the master. It's larger, has the bathroom attached, and we won't hear him crying." I honestly wondered if I'd slipped into another dimension. "You think I'm giving you my bedroom? It just makes more sense." "It absolutely doesn't. You own the house. So, you can choose to help your family." I already did. "You're living here for free." He leaned back and crossed his arms. "You've changed." "No, I've grown a spine." That's when he completely lost it. He started yelling that I was selfish, that I only cared about myself, that I treated guests like garbage. Then he pointed toward my son's room and said the one sentence that ended everything. "I'm sick of that spoiled little brat screaming every damn night. The kid's an annoying little pest, and the whole house revolves around him." Everything went silent. My son, my child, in my house. I walked to the front door, opened it, looked directly at both of them. "You have 30 minutes. Nolan laughed. "You can't be serious." "Oh, I am. We have nowhere to go." That stopped being my problem the second you insulted my son. Brianna tried changing tactics. "You'd throw family out over one argument?" "No. I'm throwing you out because you've spent weeks disrespecting me, trying to take over my house, and calling my child names. They refused to leave, so I called the police. The officer who arrived listened to both sides. Nolan tried explaining they lived there now. The officer asked one question. Do you pay rent? Silence. Are you on the deed? More silence. The officer looked at them and simply said, then you're guests. She has every right to ask you to leave. Watching them carry their suitcases to the curb was strangely peaceful. Before driving away, Nolan shouted that I had ruined our relationship forever. I yelled back, you ruined it the moment you thought my home belonged to you. That was 3 months ago. Since then, several relatives have called me cruel. Funny enough, every single one of them went quiet when I suggested they open their own homes to my brother. Apparently, no one else had room. Imagine that. Last week, I heard through my cousin that Nolan and Brianna are finally renting a small one-bedroom apartment. The guest bedroom in my house is empty again. My son still wakes up once in a while, and every time I hear his little footsteps coming toward my room, I'm reminded that there isn't a single person on earth I'd ever choose over him, especially someone who mistakes generosity for ownership.